Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Sarah, and this is
Evonne.
And we are bringing you our top 10 board games that we played in 2024. Now, you might be wondering how we keep track of all the different board games that we play. So we just want to do a quick shout out to Katie Howitson. I think that's how you say her name, but she is absolutely amazing, and she has tons of really, really cool products that she comes out with, and one of which being this cool board game calendar. So we've been getting that since 2023, so 2025 is actually the third year that we've gotten her calendars, but they are just really cool board game, I think it's called mosaics. Basically, she makes these really cool pictures out of board game pieces, and each month you can write down all the board games that you play. So that's what we do. We write down all the board games. And each month there's some cool little challenges that she has. So play a game with 6 people or play a deck building game. It's just some unique little challenges that you can work on throughout the month.
Yeah.
But she also has some stickers. So you can use those in whatever way you want to. If you want to use those to mark maybe new games that you've played, or how many times you've played a certain game, you can maybe assign a color to a game and just try to play that game 10 times or however many games you want to. Board game challenge. As you can see, it's included in the calendar.
She also includes sometimes additional, like a game. Typically they're roll and write games, just something a little additional into the game, into this calendar. And this last year, there were 3 of them. So there's 2 in the back. We have not gotten to those, but we more so because we always forget about them. But those would probably be a lot of fun since we like dice games.
Mm-hmm. And then she also has some other really cool products. She makes these coasters for drinks. And again, it's more pictures that she's made with board game pieces. She's got different styles. So one year we got these cool square ones. Another year we got some cool circular bird ones that she's made. I think that's supposed to be representing birds from probably Wingspan. So she just makes really cool pieces like that. And then lastly, one of the more recent things we got were these cool shirts that she made with board game pieces. So these are definitely one of our new favorite shirts to wear, especially for when we're board gaming and when I'm making videos and stuff. So you'll probably see us wear these shirts a lot, but we love these shirts. They're really good quality and very comfortable.
The name of her company is Board Game Art Creations, and you can search it. She's on social media, so I know she's on Instagram. I don't get on Facebook very much. She might be on Facebook, but I know she's definitely on Instagram. So if you love board games like us and you're looking for some new merch, like something to represent that your joy of board games, these shirts are really great. We've washed them about 5 times now, and the picture is amazing still. Nothing's coming off, no frayed. The design is sticking. Or if you're looking for somewhere cool to like just keep track of the board games you play, the calendar is great. I know there's apps that go into a lot more detail that you can put on there. I just don't have the attention span or just the energy to be constantly going into my app to add the game, to add the scores, to add just those metrics. So we just found this was a lot easier for us to maintain. Mm-hmm. I'm not really big on New Year's resolutions yet, because we have a lot of different board games and quite a few that we have not played. We decided that it'd be great if we can make a goal of playing at least 2 of them, 2 new board games every month. Mm-hmm. So in our calendar, we've put stars to just show, and Sarah's going to share those, what we've done.
So last year, when we kept track of the games that we played, we ended up playing 67 different board games. And I know we have a lot of games, but that's still a lot of different board games that we've played. That doesn't include playing them multiple times. It's just we played this board game, for a total of 67 different board games. And then we also played 28 new to us board games. Some of them are newer games. Some of them are a few years old or a little older that we've just never played before. But we played 28 new to us games. So that's pretty impressive. I'm happy with that.
Yes, considering we both have full-time jobs. We have a kiddo. We have other hobbies that we're interested in. So we don't really have like board games as our interests of things to do.
Yes. The biggest thing is just finding time
Yes.
to play all of our games and play all the new games that we get, because I feel like once a week or once every couple weeks we're getting a new board game. So it's keeping on top of all the games that we're getting.
Nonsense. Okay. With that being said, let's get to that list you came here to see.
Yes. So we do have a couple honorable mentions. So it's not that these aren't great games, because they are, which is why they made the honorable mentions list. But we played so many amazing games in 2024. It was just so hard to pick out just 10 of them. And so these honorable mentions are games that we really suggest you still check out. It's not that they're not good, because they're still great games. They just didn't make it into the very top of the list for us, but still great games to check out.
Yeah.
And before we get started with our honorable mentions and our top 10 list, I just want to let you know that I do have links down below for all of the games that I have videos on already. So I have some how to plays and some board game reviews and things. I'll post those down below in the description for you to check out if you want to see more of a specific game.
With that being said, my first honorable mention is Race to the Raft. It is made by the City of Games, and it is a game for 1 to 4 players, and it typically can run from 40 to 60 minutes. It is a cooperative game, a tile lane cooperative game, a polyomino game that you has very limited communication. It's made by the same people who made Isle of Cats, the draw and write Isle of Cats, and then the tile one where you put it on boats. We really thoroughly enjoyed playing this cooperative game. We had to grandfather in a couple rules. Due to the limited communication, you're only allowed to communicate at certain times and points throughout the game. I love to talk, so it was a harder game for me. But we tried doing the other way, and we just found that we were not succeeding in moving forward. And I don't know about y'all, but when we play cooperative games, we're playing it to enjoy and have fun. But after losing something 4 to 5 times, not so much fun. And it doesn't really make us want to play the next one. So we don't really be like, oh, I have a perfect one that has 5 blues. No, we just say, oh, are you sure I might have a better one, kind of thing, just to kind of create pause.
There are rules regarding the limited communication within this game. So you can say things such as, I have a great card for green, or I don't really have any good cards for blue. And it just kind of lets your partner or the people that you're playing with get a general idea of what you might be able to play versus what they should be playing. And that's a very unique aspect, especially for a cooperative game. I feel like there's not very many games out there that have the limited communication rule to it. We did get one after we got this game, and that's Tranquility the Ascent. That's another game that has limited or no communication. So that was definitely a challenge for us when we started playing this game, was figuring out what the heck we were supposed to do to work together if you can't talk. So that was definitely interesting. And it definitely doesn't bring down the game, I would say. It's just one aspect of the game and one of the mechanics of the game.
You go through a campaign, and the campaign each have different types of cats that you have to make to the boat. And so that's why you're playing your cards to create a colored path to the boat of that specific cat. And then after your turn, you're placing a tile that has fire on it, and you don't want the fire to cover the whole board and prevent the cats from getting safely to the boat. Because if that happens, then you lose.
So we're trying to rescue all of the cats that are on our board that we make, and rescue them, get them to the boats before the fire can overtake the area.
Yes.
So trying to save the cats. All right, with that, we're going to move on to the second honorable mention, and that's going to be one of mine. And this is actually a series of games, not just one game. So that's kind of why it made the honorable mention instead of the top 10 list, because it's not just one game, it's a series for me. And that's going to be the Clever series. Now, the first game in the series came out in 2018, and it's made by Stronghold Games. It's for 1 to 4 players and ages 14 plus. It takes roughly about 15 to 30 minutes, depending on if you're playing solo or with other people. It just kind of depends on how long people take their turns, just like any game. Now, once you know how to play one game in this series, you pretty much can figure out all of the games. The only thing that's different is learning the different colored areas in each game. The turn structure and how to play the game is basically the same. So it's just figuring out the different colored areas, how you can utilize your dice, how to score in those areas, and just making sure you're getting the most out of your dice when you're playing. Now, what I love most about this game is that it's such an easy game to pick up and play just as a solo player. So we don't even play this very often together. I mostly play these games as a solo player. So I pick them up all the time when I have just 20 or 30 minutes and just play a game through once or twice and just enjoy the game by itself and not having other people playing with me.
It's not because I don't like the game. It's typically if I'm working, if I'm playing a video game, if I'm not home. It's just a simple, small box game that she can play by herself and actually really enjoy.
Yes, it's a great filler game that doesn't take hours and hours to play, and there's virtually no setup. So you can literally just take it out of the box, grab a score sheet, and play the game.
The next honorable mention is on my list, and it was Project L that came out in 2020, and it's made by Board
Cubator.
It's for players 1 through 4, and most games last 20 to 40 minutes based off either player count or just kind of has a small limited analysis paralysis. But other than that, it's a tile polyomino based game. It comes with cardboard squares that we're using the polyominoes to fill in, and once you completely fill in all the required shape that's needed, you'll get points at the end of the game if there's points on that tile. And a lot of the tiles have an ability, it tells you can get choose one of your tiles that you used on that card and move it up, meaning you get a bigger size, or you can downgrade it if you like. And another thing that it provides is sometimes will give you a bonus of extra tiles that comes with it. The reason it didn't make it into my top 10 is not because it's not a bad game at all. It is a great game. It's just very light, and I only have the attention span to play a few light games. When I play board games, I'd rather have a bit more thinky, more games that cause my brain to think. And that game just unfortunately doesn't require me to think. It's very light, and I can play when I'm tired. And it's a great game to teach new people who are just getting into the world of board games, or even kids. It's great. We've played this with all different, starting at 5, all different ages, because it's just shapes. You're just filling in. It's kind of like some of those old kids games with the little hexagons, and you're just trying to create a picture. That's kind of what it reminds me a little bit of, but it's a lot of fun. Great quality components.
Yes, I definitely liked the components of it. It definitely wasn't like a cheap game by any means, or cheap components. It was definitely a nice game. It is on the lighter side, as she said, but again, it's a great filler game. It's a great game for people that are new to board games, or if you're trying to find a new game to play with your kids. Great game for that.
Yes. Definitely.
It just doesn't have enough within the game itself to bring it into the top 10 for us.
Yes, agreed.
All right, and our last honorable mention actually isn't necessarily what you'd consider a board game, because it is just a dice game, and that is 10,000. Now in 10,000, it's literally you just roll dice, and you're pushing your luck to see how many points you can get with the dice.
It requires 6 dice. It's actually a game I grew up playing. My grandparents taught me when I was very little, and it's just a game I played all growing up and still play. And when I met Sarah, she was just talking about how much she loves just checking those dice, and I was like, oh, I know a game, and she just fell in love with it.
Yes. So even though this isn't necessarily considered a board game, we love to just sit down and be able to get a bunch of dice and play 10,000. And it's great for anyone. 2 people, you could have 10 people playing. Granted, it will take a little bit of time if you have more and more and more people, but it's a great game that you can have a bunch of people, you can sit around, talk, and just have fun rolling a bunch of dice. All right, let's get into our top 10 games. Now, just to let you know, we each made our own top 10 lists, so our games do overlap a bit, so you might only see one game in our slot for like number 10, number 9, and so on. That's just because it ranks in different spots on the other person's list. So let's jump on in with number 10.
My top 10 is Ticket to Ride, the legacy game, The Legends of the Wild West. It came out in 2023 and is made by Days of Wonder. It is for 2 to 5 players, and where you're playing through 12 different Ticket to Ride Legends of the West games. Each game, it adds new components, new dice, new restrictions, new requirements, and it's a lot of fun.
Yes.
We attempted to try to play it with my kiddo, and she just kind of got a little overwhelmed with the knowledge of 12 different games, and her mind was like, phew. So we actually introduced this to my good friend Jessica and her husband, and they're actually thoroughly enjoying it. The cool thing is, he's actually colorblind, and the cards work great for people who are even colorblind because they have all the different tickets have different symbols. So he easily can tell this is yellow, this is red, this is black. And each game lasts either from 20 minutes to 90 minutes. And so really you could potentially play through 2 to 3 scenarios in one sitting. So Ticket to Ride has been around for a very long time. Actually, 2004 is when it initially came out. That game, once again, is too simple for my brain. I just need something a lot more engaging. It's a great introductory game to new gamers. It's a great game where you can just play relaxed. I don't win by no means most of the time. Just doesn't have enough going for it to keep me engaged. But this legacy game, it definitely does, because every single time we're opening it, there's something new. There's different components, and we're like, oh. The coolest thing, though, is you're creating a forever board. At the end, after your 12th game, you create this amazing, cool, huge board that is, it's consisted of like puzzle pieces where you're just puzzling the map together, and there are going to be stickers on there that we've already added, and it'll just be a really fun experience. I'm really excited to just continue to play this with our friends.
Yes, you're basically working your way through a story as you go along, which is really cool. And while originally I wasn't a fan of legacy games, just because generally in legacy games you're destroying components, maybe ripping up cards, things like that, I am really enjoying this game. I love Ticket to Ride, even though it might be a little simple for her. I enjoy classics. I enjoy easier, simpler games as well, just as much as complex games. So I love the base Ticket to Ride, I love Rails and Sails, and now I love the legacy version. I think all the Ticket to Rides are great. I love them. With the legacy version, it just brings so much more to the table than just the original Ticket to Ride. You're building a whole storyline as you go along, which is really cool. And honestly, the only reason Ticket to Ride wasn't on my top 10 list was because, kind of like the Clever series, I just love all of them. I don't love just one of them. I love Legacy, the Legacy game in particular. That's definitely my favorite. But it's kind of like the Clever series where I just love all of them. And so I didn't feel like it was fair to just be like, oh, Ticket to Ride series for my number 10 or 9 or whatever it would be. But she has it on her list. We still get to talk about it, and I just want to say I love it.
Yes.
Now, my game that I have at my number 10 slot is higher up on her list. So I'm going to wait to talk about that game until we get to it on her list. So my next one is going to be my number 9, and that is Cosmic Run Regeneration. Now, this game came out in 2018. It's made by Dr. Finn's Games. This game is made for 1 to 4 players, takes about 30 minutes to play, and it's great for anyone 14 plus.
With that being said, I really feel like someone who is like 10 or even younger could actually understand it. It's very easy to learn, rolling dice, looking at the numbers and just looking at the board where you need to allocate them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like for a lot of games, if you're introducing your kids to board games early, that's great. You could probably be playing a lot of games, quite frankly, with kids younger than the listed age bracket on the box. Kids pick things up super fast. It's crazy. So don't necessarily pay attention to when we say, oh, this game is for 14 plus. Kids younger than that can certainly play it. That's by no means saying that they shouldn't or couldn't. So just take that as it is. We're just saying what it says on the box in terms of how long a game takes, the ages, things like that. All right, with this game, we are in the future. Now, it is year 2123, and Earth has become uninhabitable. So humans have broken up into different groups and are out exploring other planets. Now, the challenge is we're trying to find these planets before other people. So we're rolling dice to try and move our ship along our tracks to discover these planets. But you're not just racing your opponents, you're racing meteors, because there are tons of meteors around and they're striking these planets, and if any planet gets 3 or more meteor strikes, it's gone. So we're trying to discover planets, get points. We are using tools and getting help from aliens. And it's just a super fun kind of push your luck dice game set in the future. And it's, you know, enjoying the space theme and futuristic theme of the game.
Yeah. I have played, so as Sarah said, this game can be played 1 to 4 players. I have actually played that solo game a couple different times, and it was a lot of fun. The creator really did a great job at making me feel like another person was playing it.
I personally haven't played the solo version of it, but anytime that I play with her or anyone else, I just love the game. I love the push your luck aspect of the dice rolling. I think that's one thing that gets me with some of the games. It's just the push your luck games. I enjoy rolling dice. Those are some of my favorite games, are roll and rights and other dice games. So that aspect really drew me in for this game. I'm not a huge fan of space or like Star Wars and those kinds of things, but I love games that incorporate that but have fun mechanisms like the dice rolling and pushing your luck and things like that. So themes, while I enjoy themes, I'm more drawn to mechanics of games. So that's really what drew me to this game. It wasn't necessarily the theme, it was more the dice rolling, the push your luck, and just the gameplay in general.
Opposite of me.
Opposite of her. She is all about the themes. She loves the themes.
Yep.
All right, we're going to jump into my number 8. Her number 9 is higher up on my list, so we're going to skip that and come back to it. And my number 8 is Patchwork. Now, there's many different Patchwork themes out there, but the one that we have is the Christmas edition. Patchwork is made by Lookout Games, and it's specifically for 2 players. It is great for ages 8 plus and takes about 15 to 30 minutes to play, so it's a little bit quicker game. Now, with the Patchwork games, you are creating your quilt. And specifically with the Christmas one, each of the tiles has a different wrapping paper, which is really cool. I love that about our version of the game, is the Christmas theme and the wrapping paper. But Patchwork is a polyomino tile placing game. So you have your board that you are creating a quilt on, and you have all of these different shaped polyomino pieces, which is really cool. Polyomino games are definitely one of our favorites. We have tons of polyomino games, and we'll be doing a top 10 list at some point for our polyomino games as well.
Yes.
But that is one of the things I like most about Patchwork, is just playing around with the different shapes, fitting them into your quilt, and trying to create the best version that you can. You're also using buttons as currency, and you have to balance those along with time in this game. So balancing those 2 things is definitely the challenge in this game, and trying to get as much of your board filled as possible. While this is a simple game, this was one of the first games that she introduced me to in terms of board games or newer board games instead of the classic Monopoly or checkers, things like that. So this game holds a special place in my heart just because it was one of the first games that got me into board gaming. So it's definitely a great gateway game for younger kids or people that aren't big into board games. This is a great game to get them started.
And now my top 8 is called Tipperary. It is made by Lookout Games, and it's for 2 to 5 players, ages 8 and up, and most games take anywhere from 30 to 45 plus minutes. It is another polyomino game, shocker. So there are 5 unique starting tiles that are in the shape of like a square rectangle that everyone starts with. And on these tiles, there is a special little banner and icon. And then in the middle of the table, there is a place where we're actually going to place the polyominoes, but it's like a star-shaped symbol that has a bunch of little openings that someone's like, oh, it's a rondelle, but it's not a rondelle, because what you're doing is you're spinning the little token in the middle, and then wherever your icon that's on your starting tile is, you get to choose between those 2 polyominoes that are in that section. I really enjoy that game, this game, because even though it is on the simpler side, every single time you're playing it, you're just the landscape that you're creating is going to be different. Your goal is to get the most points, and there's different terrain on each tile. There's the wheat fields, the pastures for the sheeps. The wheat fields have the distilleries where you're moving up your whiskey barrel to get more points. And then there's ruins. When you're putting 3 in a row, you get a ruin, a castle that you can either place in the moment or you can keep on the side to just fill those little single 1x1 slots. It's a lot of fun. Everyone that we've introduced this game to has thoroughly enjoyed it. It is a little bit more on the expensive side, currently $40 to $45 for what the game is. I think I got on sale for like $30. If you're looking for a polyomino game, Patchwork is definitely cheaper, but once again, you can only play for 2 players. This game, you can play up to 5 players. I really thoroughly enjoy it.
All right, my number 7 is Ark Nova. This game is made by Feuerland. I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure. Feuerland. It is for 1 to 4 players. It is a longer game. It takes 90 to 150 minutes, and that's no joke. It really takes a long time. It is a table hog, as some people call it. It takes up a lot of the table. And it is for ages 14 plus, which I feel like I kind of agree with this game. It is a bigger game, a little more complex. With this game, you are building your own zoo, and you're adding animals, building buildings, you're supporting conservation projects, and just trying to score as many points as possible and have the best zoo possible. The only reason this didn't rank higher on my list is just because it takes so long to play. There's a little bit of setup to it, and just the length of gameplay. We don't get around to it as often as we like, just because we don't have that many huge chunks of time that we can dedicate to a game. We play a lot of shorter games, usually under an hour, maybe an hour and a half, but this game takes a little bit longer than that, so it's just harder to get to the table for us. I think if we played it more, it would definitely rank higher, or if it wasn't as long of a game, it would definitely rank higher in terms of our top 10, because I love this game. I love creating my zoo. I love all the animals on the cards, and I think it's just a really fun game. They also have a bunch of different maps that you can choose from. Some of them give you different abilities or things that happen while you're playing, which is really neat. It adds a little bit of variety to the game. Along with all of the animal cards. You definitely do not get through all the cards most of the time, so you can play a couple times through and still see new cards, which is cool. I like seeing all of the different animals that the game has in it.
The reason it didn't make it to my list was just because of how long it is. Also, with Sarah talking about that huge deck of cards, I never feel like we see any of the cards. There is an expansion that came out in this last year or 2. I did purchase it. We just have not played it yet, just because of time, once again. But I've heard and read that it actually helps sift through those cards so that you're actually seeing a lot more of the deck, which I'm really excited to try that out, to see really how much more it does help. Because sometimes the other part is, I feel like one person is always in the lead and the other person is struggling to keep up, and it's all because of the cards they have.
Yes.
Because there's not really specifically a I'm always going first type of thing. There's a time tracker, and whoever gets to the end of the line gets to be first the next round. So it's really nothing to do with like, oh, because Sarah got to go first all the time, every single round, that's why she won. It's all really what kind of cards you're you start with, and then what just kind of cards you're getting throughout the deck, like while you're grabbing cards.
Yeah, that's the only other negative that I had about the game is just the fact that I feel like a lot of games, it seems like one person gets out ahead and the other person just can't ever catch back up. There are some games where we just absolutely blow the other person out of the water. And so that's not very fun for the other person when that happens. So that's definitely a negative that we found about the game. But just in terms of the theme and just building your own zoo, I just love the game. I don't like the fact that it's like that or that we don't see a lot of the cards. But I just enjoy the game in general. I love the zoo theme and all the animals. I feel like we have a lot of animal games too. But I love those themes of the animals and zoos, and that's what I enjoy about the game.
And once again, they have polyominoes, which are the terrain that you're building.
Yes.
Part of the reason we don't really like it is just because one person is constantly in the lead. And obviously, who plays games that they're trying to lose? Like, we want to win. We're very competitive people. But at the same time, we are very compassionate and caring. And we're like, oh, why would I want to suggest we play this game when I'm constantly beating and Evonne's stuck here like, okay, I know, like, after a while, it just kind of gets frustrating where you're constantly losing. Who wants to play a game where you're constantly losing? Not me. So, once again, that's why we wish, like, obviously, we understand, like, no game's perfect in that sense. But really, I feel like a huge part of that point are cards. There's, with maybe a little bit of mild, like, you're choosing the actions, but really it's what cards you're dealt and what cards you're getting. That's how you're winning the game.
I would say there's a measurement of luck that plays into the game in regards to what cards you get and things.
Okay, my number 7 is Pioneer Rails. It came out in 2023 and is made by Dronda Games. It is for 1 to 80 players, and it suggests the age of 10, and most games run 30 to 45 minutes. The reason it says 1 to 80 players is because it comes with a tablet of papers that you're using that you just rip out and draw on. I backed the Kickstarter Game Pound, and it came, there was an add-on to get laminated or just special enhanced picture, like brighter pictures that were laminated. And I opted to do that just so we could not be wasting paper, just constantly just be using that over and over. And we found that we actually enjoyed that better. We can see the lines a lot better. It is kind of like a poker style drawing, but you're not really keeping them cards. You deal out 3 cards, or based off player count. You deal out how many cards based off player count, and then whoever's first gets to pick which number or letter they want versus jack through ace. And then you just draw it on your piece of paper, the number, and then you look at the suit as well. And then that's the region. The map that you're using has 4 different regions for each suit: spade, club, heart, and diamond. And then there's rails, and so you're just drawing your train line along these rails. The game has 4 rounds, and at the end of each round you look to see how your poker hand was, and then there's a point system of how many points you get based off of your poker hand. So there is kind of like do you want to work on your poker hand and just change the suit, or will the suit that card is work for you? In the beginning of the game, you're setting up goals and objectives that everybody is going towards, and whoever gets it first actually gets the most points, and then everybody else can still get it, but they get half of the points. This by far is one of my favorite poker style games that we've played so far. We've actually been able to play like just hanging out in bed because there's very limited setup. You just have your boards and your cards. It's a game that we've brought other places. It's very lightish. There's actually 2 different maps that we can use. It's actually, after we've played a few times, I Google to see if they're planning on coming out with an expansion, because I would love to see more maps, objectives, goals for us to do.
And this game was actually my number 10, so it did make my list as well, just not as high as hers. As she said, this is such an easy game to play just in bed or on the couch. You don't necessarily have to be at a table as long as you have somewhere that you can put the cards out that you're choosing from. So we've taken this game with us different places and just played in bed, like in the hotel room or wherever we're staying, which is really convenient. It's nice having games that you can take with you traveling. And this is a game that has a little bit more going for it in terms of like game mechanics and things than other games. So you can always bring just dice and roll some dice or a deck of playing cards, but this is a pretty small game that you can bring with you that still has substance to it, which is nice. Next up, my number 6 is Star Wars Clone Wars, and this game came out in 2022, and it's made by Z-Man Games. It's for 1 to 5 players, ages 14 plus, and takes about 60 minutes. Now, even though I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, as I said before, this is another space-themed game. And this is going to be a cooperative game, so you're not competing against each other. You're working together to defeat droids and other villains that are popping up. And you have all of these different planets that you're traveling to defeat all of these evil villains and droids and protect the planets and complete your missions that you're given. This game is made by the same people that created Pandemic, which is another cooperative game we personally have never played, but we've heard that a lot of people love. So if that is the type of game that you like playing, this would be right up your alley.
So Star Wars Clone Wars actually also made it to my list, but it was lower on my list. It actually was my number 9. The reason it made it to my number 9 is just because it's a cooperative game. We love cooperative games. It's actually a very quick cooperative game compared to some of the other ones we have, which are hours long, campaign long. This cooperative game, yes, Star Wars Clone Wars has a challenge. It's challenging. It's fun. There's actually different levels of challenge of how many missions you want to add to make your game more challenging to play through. And because we love cooperative games so much, I just felt like a cooperative game that was on our list, on our calendar of this last year, should be on my list. I do love Star Wars. Darth Vader is not my favorite, but this was only the first one that she had available for purchase, so this is what I have, and I actually have a poster of the same image that I just need to get in a frame so I can hang it up. It's really cool. So Sarah just got done talking about her number 6, and I just got done talking about my number 9, but I'm going to talk again about my number 6, which happens to be My City Rollin' Right. Well, it's actually My City Rollin' Build. It came out in 2022 and is made by Cosmos Games. It's for 1 to 6 players, ages 10 and up, and each game lasts about 30 minutes. This game is a roll and write game. You're rolling 2 dice, and then you're drawing the image that's on the die, 2 dice, and you combine it together to create a shape. On the die, it has a little half circle, and you're supposed to connect the 2 half circles to create a full circle, and that's the shape you're drawing. My City plays through a campaign. This game comes with 24 episodes, 24 campaigns that you're actually playing through, and the game provides a lot of copies of each campaign, each number, where you can play multiple times. There's no legacy. This game actually has a legacy version where there's physical tiles and cards that you're flipping over, and that's the tile you're playing, which we just actually got for the kiddo for Christmas, and we just recently started, so more than likely this will be in our video, but who knows for next year. But this is about the roll and write game. Each map has something unique that goes with it, whether it be requirement that you build around the wells to get 4 additional points, whether it be you try to get all your polyominoes of the same pattern together, whether it be you can only build on the right side of the river, whether it be that there's bandits that come out and play and that you actually have to surround, because if you don't surround, they're on your map the next time. And let me tell you, those are very hard to get rid of once you get too many on your paper. I actually lost like 20 points one game. I was very not happy. So with that being said, we've played through the whole entire thing on Board Game Arena. We've not played through the whole entire thing of our physical copy, but just knowing that it's on Board Game Arena, knowing that we have the real game, and it's actually pretty cheap. It's about $20 to play through the to purchase, and then you have 24 of those like little tiny campaigns, and it's pretty small paper. So it's not a large game. It's another game you can easily just bring with you somewhere else, which we've done actually before.
All right, moving on to my number 5 is Hadrian's Wall. Now, this game is made by Garfield Games. It's for 1 to 6 players, ages 12 plus, and takes about 30 to 60 minutes. In this game, you're playing as a Roman general who is building a wall and the defenses of the city. You're also trying to get citizens to come to your city by providing entertainment and buildings and things for them to do. And the game takes place over 6 years, and after each year, you're actually going to have enemies that attack your wall and your city. So you're trying to build up your defenses along your walls to deter those attacks. So that's another element that you have to balance with building things within your city, is making sure that your defenses are up and that you have people guarding your wall. In this game, you're using resources that you collect to gain renown, piety, valor, and discipline. And you're also trying not to get disdain. Disdain can lose you points. So you're basically building all of your defense systems on your wall and then also creating the city and trying to get people into your city. I really like this resource management game. It's a lot of fun. We haven't played it too much together. I mostly play this against solo. There's not an official solo version of this game, but I've found that people have posted a solo campaign online, so that's mostly what I play for this game. The solo campaign that I found includes different challenges, like having to complete your wall or get so many citizen tracks completed. And if you're able to do that and get so many points in a game, a lot of times you'll start the next scenario with extra bonuses. Now, this game doesn't come with an actual board. It comes with a stack of papers, so you just rip one off, and that is your player sheet. And you'll have 2 separate sheets in front of you. One that includes basically your wall and landmarks, your resources and things like that. The other side is going to be more of your city, and it's going to be your citizen tracks in different areas within the city. The baths, the theaters, the gladiators, things like that.
It's a great resource management game. But for me personally, after I've played it a couple times, I'm like, okay, I'm good. Once again, maybe not so much going on, or I just find myself doing the same strategy over and over and over again. And I'm just like, okay, this is just kind of like deja vu. I just did this last game kind of thing. I like something that has a bit more change every game to it, because the papers are just exactly the same. You do have everyone has their own little deck of cards, of 12 cards, yet after a while you're just picking the same ones because you know that track is the quote-unquote easiest or the more likely that you'll obtain it for a goal. It is enjoyable, it is fun, but it's referenced as a solo solitaire game. So you're primarily just looking at your own 2 papers. You're not caring at all what your coworkers, you're not caring at all what your opponents are doing. I've never played the solo campaign before, but Sarah's talked a lot about it and how much she really enjoys it and how challenging actually it is for her. And that's something that we're always looking for in campaign games, of just kind of like challenging but yet doable. It's not a game that we've introduced to the kiddo yet, even though she's getting closer to that age suggestion, just because it does actually have a lot going on. Choices. There are a lot of choices to how you want to use your workers, your resources, and there's no carryover for your resources from round to round. You have to, if you don't use the resource that round, you lose it, and then you'll end up either getting it again the next round or not. And the boards, the papers that you're drawing on are very busy for my kiddo. I feel like she would just be very overwhelmed if she saw that. So definitely not someone who looks at something that's just covered in images and gets overwhelmed. This would not really be a game for them. But if you're used to resource management, resource allocating, just draw, flip and writes, definitely a game worth checking out.
I honestly think this might be my favorite resource management game. This, if I'm feeling like a resource management game, this is really the game I go to. There's virtually no setup. Very little setup. It's pretty quick. You can play it in under an hour. And as I said, I'm playing through the campaign that I found. So, every scenario is different. I'm working on different areas of the city and trying to complete different challenges and different missions, if you want to call it that.
I'm not able to mention my number 5 because it's actually further down on Sarah's list. So we'll get to it when we get to it. We're getting to the point in our list that we actually have some crossover, and that is our number 4. Our number 4 is the game Planet Unknown. It came out in 2022 by Adam's Apples Games. It's 1 to 6 players can play this game, and most games take anywhere from 60 to 80 minutes. We've actually been able to do a 2-player game under 60 minutes, but it's a tile placing game. Everyone is given their own planet as well as their own resource tracker, planet board, where you're getting little cubes. There's 6 different cubes for each, 1 cube for each type of resource. There's on the polyominoes. Every polyomino has 2 of those resources on them. There are 3 different objectives that we're playing through. It's one of our top favorite polyomino games, I would say. My kiddo truly loves this game. It's definitely a game that she asks about a lot to play. I just love fantasy, sci-fi, the sci-fi world, so that's what drew me to this game, as well as the polyominoes. It's a lot of fun because each planet actually has a different kind of like restriction or requirement. You typically have to play on the edge, start your first time on the edge on the primary planet, but some of the planets you have to start in the middle, or you get extra points if there's 3 little planets, so you get extra points if you fill in every single one of those 3 little planets. Along with the resource track, there's different resource track boards that have different abilities, and then you use these little tiny rovers. They're called their white little cars that you're moving along on your board as well whenever you play the red terrain tile. The reason you're moving them around is because you also get meteors. It's another meteor game. And so there's tiles that have meteors on them, and anytime you get one of those, you have to put a meteor on. In order to get rid of the meteors, you have to move your white rover along your planet to that spot to get rid of the meteor. If you are not able to get rid of the meteor, at the end of the game, you will not get points if you have that meteor in a completed row or a column, because at the end of the game, also along your planet track, there's points. So any completed row or column that you finish, that you have completely filled in, you get points based off of what is shown. If there's a meteor, no points, and that's a bummer. I really do enjoy this game because of just the polyominoes. You're filling in your planets. This is not a round-based game. Whenever someone is not able to play a polyomino that is in their well that is in front of them, the game is over after that round. The polyominoes, where they come in this really cool circular rondelle, where the rules state that when it's your turn, you get to actually choose which well, it's called, that you want to use. And in each well, there's 2 different types, sizes of polyominoes. We play a little differently, where we've played with my kiddo when she was a bit younger, where we just move it 1 well over, because we've found that it actually adds a bit more time to just, oh, do I want this or do I want that? But we've also played multiple times now that she's older, where we get to choose, and that actually does kind of change it up, because when you can see what polyominoes are coming, when you're just moving it 1 over, you actually can kind of prepare yourself for that space to be like, oh, I know I can put this one here, so I don't have to worry about it. But when you leave it up to whoever to pick the well, you have no idea what polyomino shape is coming next. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I really like. I like that there's storage plates also for each polyomino type, so you're not constantly just dumping out a bag and sorting them. Because we have games like that where it's just put it all in a Ziploc bag, and then every game we have to set up and we have to make a pile of each size or type of polyomino. So that is a really cool feature of this game. We actually just got the expansion for Planet Unknown that just came out. It's the Moons expansion. Very excited to play that. My kiddo was very excited, thrilled to see that we got that for her. So the best thing about Planet Unknown is that everyone is playing simultaneously. So after you're choosing which well you want to play, you're going to play from, everyone else has a well in front of them, and everyone else is also playing a tile at the same time. So you're not just sitting there and waiting for the next person and the next person and the next person and just kind of like spacing off. You actually get to play, and so you're staying engaged in the game, and that's a really great feature, I feel like. I love simultaneously
playing.
Sure, that word. I love games that you can both be playing at the same time.
Yes.
I feel like if this game did not have that, it would not be on my list. Even though I love the sci-fi, the planets, it would be a very long game if we were having to wait. Because there's so many different wells and so many different tiles of options to choose from.
I think one of the main reasons that this game ranks so high for the both of us is how family friendly this game is. You don't have to be a huge gamer to understand this game. It's fun working with all the polyomino pieces and the rondel, the different ways that you can, pick what you want for your pieces. There's always a small piece and a big piece in your area that you can choose from to play. But this is definitely a game that our kiddo loves. And so that makes us love it even more because we all get excited for this game. We all want to play it. It's not too simple of a game. It has enough going on. There's so many different planets and different boards to choose from. So you're not playing the same map or the same planet every single game. You can certainly do that if you want to, but it provides more options for people that want to expand or have more going on for it. Next up is number 3. And again, this is another one that we have that is the same. So our number 3 game is Cascadia Rolling Hills and Rolling Rivers. Now, this is an offshoot of the Cascadia tile game. However, this one includes cards. So it's a flip and write game. And this game is made by Flat Out Games. It's for 1 to 4 players, and it takes about 15 to 30 minutes, again, depending on how long people take their turns. But this game, I love the Pacific Northwest theme. I love the animals and the different habitats that you can get with these 2, I don't know if you want to call them expansions, but offshoots of the Cascadia game. I love that it's different than just laying out your tiles like the original Cascadia was. You're actually rolling dice to gain resources, which are animals, which you can then spend to get different habitats to put on your player sheets that you have in front of you. Each of these 2 games includes 4 different map layouts, so each map kind of plays a little bit differently than the last, which gives more to the game than just, one map or one scenario. So that's really nice. But I just really enjoy the theme and the resource management again, and also rolling dice to gain your resources. That gives you more choices and lets you kind of choose maybe what route you're going to go, what habitats you're going for. But I really enjoy the resource management part of it and the fact that it's animals and it has a Pacific Northwest theme to it, which is where we live. So we really enjoy that theme.
For the resource track, you're actually keeping track of the resource. So there's an additional piece of paper that has each animal type that you're writing down how many, like you're adding it to what's already written on the paper. So if you had 4 foxes and you wanted to add 3 more, then you'd have 7. You just cross it off and write a 7. After rolling your dice and figuring out which resource you want to take, you then get the chance to use the resources that you just got, plus the ones you have stocked up to try to get one of the 4 habitats that are shown. For the goals or the objectives that we're trying to complete to do these habitats, there are cards that go underneath it as well as cards that can go above it. The cards that go underneath it are just additional resources that you get. The cards that go above it are cards that actually you can use to help you achieve to get that habitat. But once again, it's kind of like a solo solitaire. You're doing your own thing. There's no I'm trying to block Sarah, I'm trying to block somebody else. We kind of like solo solitaires, I feel like, a lot. I do really like the differences in all the different maps that they provide.
And the maps kind of vary in hardness. So like the first map I think is map A. That's usually the easiest. And then with each map you go on B, C, D. They get a little bit harder and have a little bit more involved with them. So you can always start with A. And then, if you're playing with kids or whatever, they might prefer A, but you can also work up to the later letters as well, which is nice.
So there's no by any means that you need to have the Cascadia Rolling Hills as well as Rolling Rivers. I'm just a completionist, so I like to have both just for options. It's essentially the same game, but the maps are different that they have for you with different, bonuses that you're getting on them. Plus, it comes with different unique cards that you get that the ones that you're putting below the habitats that you're working on going for.
And another difference between the rolling hills and rolling rivers is the dice. The dice are a little bit different. They have some different actions and stuff on them. So that's really the only other difference, is just the dice and maps are a little different, but they pretty much play the same. They're basically the same thing. You don't need to have them both, but we enjoyed the game enough that we play both of them regardless. So
my number 2 is a game called Habitats. Specifically the version that came from Allplay. It came out in 2023. Initially, the original Habitats came out in 2016 by a company I'm going to spell out for you. It's CWALI. I do not want to butcher that because I'm not sure how to pronounce that, and I do apologize. It is a game for 1 to 5 players, and most games take 30 to 50 minutes. The reason it is so high on my list is just because of how different each game is that you're playing. It's a tile-based game, and each tile that has an animal on it also has a requirement that of what type of tile needs to be adjacent to it in order to get the points of that animal type. There are tiles with flowers on them, there are tiles with tents on them, there are tiles with different patterns on them, but it's a game that some people would say is very similar to a game called Framework, which we also have, but I did not like Framework. Framework was very muted colors, same thing where each tile has these objectives that you have to do, where it requires so many colors of that tile adjacent or touching another tile of that same color, and you're branching out, creating like an image or like a visual picture. I love Habitats because of just how pretty it is, the different animals. Plus, my edition came with these cute little animeeples. Many different animal meeples. There's actually an animal for every single tile that has an animal on it. Based on the player count, the game tells you how to set up the tile board, the tile drafting system. And so it has, for 2 players, it has where you're supposed to put your Jeep, which is how you're moving and selecting your tiles. For 3 players, so forth, it just gets bigger and bigger, and it creates this like huge hexagon. It creates this huge rectangle or square in a sense. On your turn, you are moving your Jeep the direction of where you want to go, and where you're moving is actually the tile that you actually have to play into your habitat. When your Jeep is in the middle, you can either choose the tile that's in front of it, you can choose a tile that's on the left or the right, but you cannot go backwards. In order to go backwards, you literally have to go in a circle. Like you have to take a left and then another left and then another left, and then you're behind you. When you're moving your Jeep, or when you're picking a tile, you're moving your Jeep into that spot where it's at. And that's where your Jeep is for the next turn. The game consists of 3 rounds. Everyone plays the same amount of turns, and it's just a lot of fun tile laying game that I really enjoy. That's not polyomino for a change, just because of how cute the art is. I love the artwork. I love the colors. I am definitely a color person. I'm drawn to color and theme. Unfortunately, Framework just too dull of colors. I think if it were a lot brighter colors, I maybe would be drawn to that, but Habitats was just instant, like, ooh, I like this.
Yeah, well, Habitats didn't make my list, my top 10 list. I do enjoy the game, and I really appreciate the animal meeples that they give you, and just how colorful it is and cute. And I remember opening it for the first time and just seeing all of those animals, and I was like, what is this? And just being so excited for all the animals. So it definitely is a cute game. I enjoy playing it. It just didn't make my top 10. All right, and my number 2 is Castles of Burgundy. This game is made by Ravensburger, and we actually have the special edition, so the big box that you can get, and that came out in 2023. While Castles has been around quite a while, it originally came out in 2011. The big box that just came out in 2023 is so cool. I love it so much. Again, it's made by Ravensburger. It's 2 to 4 players, ages 12 plus, and it is 70 to 120 minutes. So it is a little bit longer of a game. It does require a little bit of setup. So again, that's things that we didn't really like so much with Ark Nova, but This is, I feel, a little less complicated than Arc Nova. And one of the biggest things we love is that our kiddo likes this game. So once in a while, she'll hop in and play a game with us. And so that time frame of 70 to 120 minutes can be a little bit longer if you do add more players, or if you're playing with kiddos that maybe take a little bit longer to take their turns or think about things. It can take quite a while to play this game, but this is definitely my number 2, just because we all love this game. Our kiddo loves this game. We play this game a lot. Even if we don't necessarily play it in person, we play on BGA a lot. And so we've played, I don't even know how many games of Castles of Burgundy we have played, but it's a lot. And personally, it's been one of my favorite games since the first time I played it. I have loved this game. So actually getting into the game, besides just ranting about how much I love it, this is a tile game, and you are trying to build your duchy, and you're taking tiles from different depots on the map and placing them into a little storage area that you have before you can play them into your duchy. And on your turn, you're rolling dice to determine what you can do with your dice numbers or values that you have. So your dice kind of determine what you're going to be doing for that round. A great thing about this game is that there are so many maps that are included. I think in our new edition, there's 20-something maps. I want to say like 20 different maps. So there's a lot of variety. So you're not playing the same map every game. You can pick a different map, or you can even pick the same map as someone else if you want to. So that's an option. But you can pick any of the maps that you want. So it gives it a ton of variety. Now, I did do a video on all the components of the special edition that we got in a box opening video. I'll link that down below. But all the components in the special edition are just so nice. The castles are really cool and detailed, and I have a lot of fun using those on my board instead of the little tiles. I do have to say, all the components are amazing. I love them so much more than just cardboard components that the original game came with and what many other games come with. They come with, thinner cardboard or just, cheaper components, and they're not like plastic or larger individual pieces. This game, the box was huge, and it came with all of the deluxe components, which was so cool. I loved opening up that box and just seeing all the different components and how much things have improved.
So this game actually is also on my list, but it's my number 5. The reason it's my number 5 is just because there is a lot of maintenance at the end of each round, as well as my preference is to play this with 3 players. The reason is because when there's 3 players, I just feel like there's a lot more tiles out there to choose from, because there's actually, based on player count, there's a set amount of tiles in each depot that you can choose from. As 3 players, it adds 1 to 2 extra tiles, and that is in each depot. That I feel like gives a lot more options, and plus you're seeing a lot more, because we can play 2 players where we barely even see some of the tiles of different buildings. So that's why I got to my number 5.
And I do agree with that. It does play much nicer at 3 players. It's still fun at 2 players, but it's so much nicer having more tiles to choose from, and you do see more of the tiles come out there at some point throughout the game when you play with 3 or 4 players. I think for me, 3 is really the magic number. When you go to 4 players, again, I feel like you see a lot of tiles, but you definitely have a harder time getting some of those tiles because you're fighting with other people to get them. I would say 3 is probably the magic number for this game.
It adds a lot more time at 4 players. Mm-hmm. 3 players adds a lot more time, but 4 players adds even more time to this game. Easily just, you're waiting your turn for someone to do all their actions, and then the next person, just time, just kind of sitting there waiting, because you're not able to do you can't play while the other person is playing. And
you can try to kind of plan what you're trying to do with your board, but ultimately it's going to depend on your dice rolls too, because I can't tell you how many times I'm like, oh, I'm working on this, and then I roll the dice and it's like, absolutely not what I need for any of what I'm doing. And I'm like, okay, that's not helpful.
The board, when you're selecting dice, all the depots have each die face. So there's 6 depots because there's 6-sided dice. And then on your board, your duchy that you're building, each place where you can put a tile has a unique number that you have to have in order to play that tile in that spot. So that's what Sarah's talking about.
Yes. Okay.
We are at our number 1. I'm sure that's the number y'all have been waiting for. Drum roll. It is
Azul Queen's Garden. Now there's several versions of Azul, but this is by far our favorite. And we own it personally. It's not just one that we've played online. We actually own it right here. Azul Queen's Garden is made by Next Move Games. It is for 2 to 4 players, ages 10 plus, and it takes about 45 to 60 minutes. In this game, a king has brought together different garden designers to create the best garden for his wife. As you play, you're adding tiles which have flowers, trees, birds, butterflies, all sorts of garden things on them. You add the tiles onto your board to create this masterpiece. In Queen's Garden, you're selecting tiles that are available and placing them into your reserve. From there, you can play those tiles using other tiles within your reserve and playing the tile into your garden. Now, the tiles are played with either same color or same pattern. So while you're drafting your tiles, you have to be careful that you can play them using other tiles that you have and that you're not going to run out of space in your reserve. One of the things we love the most about this game are all the patterns and colors. It is very vibrant and just all the different patterns are really pretty and really colorful.
They really come together. They really flow. I really enjoy looking at my board and being like, wow, not only did I play a lot of tiles, but I made a pretty picture. It's that's the main reason it's my number 1 is just because of all the pretty colors, the different pictures, it has a lot of going for it, just the tile drafting, because you never know what is going to come out for drafting. To me, by far, it's the best Azul out there. We've played 3 of the Azuls, now 4, because we just recently got Azul Duel, which is a lot of fun as well. But definitely the colors choices, the crunchiness, and you're literally creating your own pattern masterpiece on your garden, on your board, versus you're not just putting it all online like the base Azul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've played the original Azul, and personally, I didn't really like it all that much. It's very simple, and I know I like simple games, but that just was a little too simple. Nothing really stood out to me about the game. The colors I felt were fairly muted. And I honestly was hesitant to try the other Azul games just because of that, because I thought it was going to be kind of the same thing. But then we played Queen's Garden, and it is so different than the original Azul. And I know some people like that. They don't like that. Some people play the original Azul and then they play that one and they're like, it's just too different. And then I've also heard of other people being like, wow, this just brings it to a whole nother level. And that's kind of where we're at. Like, the original to us is just too simple. There's not really anything going on, I feel like, in the game. But this, I feel like, is the game that we look for. There's a lot of crunch. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of strategy because some tiles cost a lot to play. But then if you get stuck with those tiles in your reserve, that's going to be a lot of negative points for you at the end of the game. So it's really balancing, okay, am I going to really go for these big pointers, or am I going to stick with these small pointers but then get a lot of them? So I feel like just the strategy part of that, along with creating this beautiful design on your board, it's very visually appealing as well as mentally appealing in terms of crunchiness and the mechanics of the game.
And the game is played in 4 rounds. At the end of each round, after the last person passes, you score points. So you score points for the tiles that you actually played out into your garden, and you score points for colors, 2 different colors and 1 pattern. as well as the pavilions. So everyone starts with one big pavilion in the middle of the board, and then throughout the game, more pavilions, more tiles, and pop up after one of the factories gets empty. You flip it over, and on the back side, it has a image of a tile that you play that the same way as you play at any other tile. You can use it to play a cost, or you can use it to actually play in your garden.
So those tiles actually unlock more of your garden, and it gives you more space to play tiles. Because otherwise, if you don't have those extra tiles around your board, it limits the space that you can play, and you're actually going to run out of moves that you can even do. So you have to be getting not just tiles, but getting the actual big tiles or additions to your board, so that way you can keep expanding your garden.
One of my favorite things that I like about this game is that there's a lot of things that you have to look for when you're going to play a tile. Not only do you have to pay its cost, yet there's a requirement of where you can play it. Not specifically like, oh, I can only play a purple in this exact hexagon. No, you can only play a purple next to another purple as long as the pattern is not the same. So if you have multiple purples in a line or all touching, and you have another purple tile that you can play, the only way you're able to play it touching that other row of purples is that pattern is not in that group. So each round has its own scoring. Then at the end of the game, there's the end of the game scoring, and you're going through your whole board again, and you're scoring all the groups of 3 or more. And then that's where essentially you get the cost back. Because yes, you're paying up front, but at the end of the game, you get that cost back. So sometimes it's great to try to play those big pointers 6, but sometimes you're like, only get to play 1, and it's not combined to a group of 3, and you're like, well, that was a waste. You never really know what the tiles are going to come out for drafting. I love playing with you, this as a 2-player, but we've actually been playing this with 3 players, and we found that we do really enjoy even more at 3 players because it adds to our factory stack. At 2 players, you only get 5 factories each round. So like 5 stacks, so that 4 tiles go on the stack. And then when you take one off, you take the top off, and then you put 4 more. And so essentially we're only seeing 20 tiles each round. At a 3-player game, there's 7 factories. So that's 28. So that's 8 more tiles that you get to see that are getting out, which I really like.
Yeah. So this is actually both of our number 1 games. Even though she tends to kick my butt a lot, I feel like this game is just so crunchy, and I just like it so much that even if she's kicking my butt, I'm like, rematch. I need a rematch. I want to play again. Some games, if someone really like stomps you or kicks your butt, you're like, okay, that's enough for now. But for me, for this game, it's like, let's play again. I just love that every game is different. Every time you play, your board looks different. You're, doing different strategies, like going for the high pointers, or maybe getting one of each color, trying to get a rainbow. There's just so many different strategies that you can try in this game, and every game is different. And I think that's one of the main things that we love about really any game, is just variety and having games that are different every time, not doing the same thing over and over and over.
Yes, agreed. And there are quite a few different factories, the place where you're putting the tiles for draft and then you're flipping over when they're empty. There's enough for us to actually play 2 games plus we have to add just, I think, 2 to make it 5 each stack, that we can actually just rotate through them, so we're not using the same factories each game. Yeah, I really, it's, when I think of this game, it kind of reminds me a little of Castles of Burgundy, just because of the hexagons and the map that you're creating and the images, but at the same time, it's nothing like it because there's no dice. No. But if you do like castles, this is definitely, I feel like, a type of game that I would suggest looking into. Yes. It has that crunchy feeling. It has that pattern. You're seeking the pattern. You're trying to do those objectives. You're trying to get the most points than others.
And if you're someone that's played the original Azul and didn't really like it because you didn't really get much out of it, or it was just too simple for you, please try Queen's Garden. It is amazing. Like, out of all of them that we've played now, this is our favorite by far, hands down. And as we said, this was our favorite game of 2024, hands down. Like, I love castles, but this one just over the top. Like, I don't know. We just love this game so much. So go check it out. All right, and just a reminder, there are links down below to any of the games that I already have videos on, whether I did reviews or box openings or how to plays. Those are down below. Also, if you guys are interested in learning any more about the games that we talked about today, let me know in the comments. If you want to see a how to play or a board game review of a specific game we talked about today, I'm willing to do that. Just let me know in the comments and I will get on that. And this is going to be a yearly video, so make sure you guys check back at the end of the year for our top 2025 board games. We have our calendar up right over there, and we are keeping track of all the board games we're playing and our top ones. So make sure you check back for that. We're also doing a quarterly video where we talk about the games that we played in a specific quarter. So in a little bit here, we'll be going over the first quarter board games that we played and our top games that we played. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you got value, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below to catch more how to plays, box openings, all things board game related. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, get your game on.